time has expired. The chair now recognizes Dr. Burgess for 5 minutes.
I thank the chair. Mr. Menzies, it's good to see you again. Thank you for your help in my district this summer. We did our annual energy efficiency event. Sometimes we forget that energy efficiency is another arm of, or one of the arrows in our quiver when we talk about the nation's energy armamentarium. And I certainly thank you for your help that day. I also agree with you and virtually every other member on this side of the dais who's voiced concern. We're, of course, talking about big scale wind projects that down the road are in a significant deliverable, and not that that's not important, but it's a little hard to consider that when you're facing a cold winter with rising prices. And what is that going to mean for our constituents? And it's what is it going to mean for just American families and families around the world? You referenced the wind stopping blowing in Europe. What if they have a colder winter than we do, and the demands for our exportable natural gas are going to increase, and that's going to affect price here? Unfortunately, in the Build Back Better Act, there's a methane fee that was included. We don't call it a tax because that would be a tax on families earning under $400,000 a year. So we're a little sensitive about the language, but nevertheless, it's going to increase price. So I just wonder if you had any additional thoughts on that. You know, we as the authorizing committee for energy policy in the People's House, looking ahead with the dire wolf at the door in the wintertime, any other advice that you can give us from your recent activity at the Department of Energy?
Well, thank you very much for that. I'll tell you, Congress actually has a good bill that they can pass right now. It's the bipartisan infrastructure bill. That will address a lot of the issues that we're talking about here today. So instead of waiting around and try to figure out passing the reconciliation package, you can actually look very closely at that one, and you will achieve some of the goals here that we've been talking about. We have the solution to tight supplies right here in this country, right here. You know, the shale revolution, once again, you've heard me say this, both oil and natural gas, we are able to help not only domestically, but globally. We can bring the supply. So and this is a good story, as demand increases coming out of COVID, we should be able to produce enough so that everybody can get what they need at reasonable prices. We'll have to go through a little bit here, but the fact is that if we were not sending out the negative messages to move capital and to get resources out of the ground, we would be actually spending money and getting the economy moving so that we can actually celebrate what we have here. All studies show that our natural gas displaces coal and has led to decreased global emissions. All studies show that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Right, the deliverable.
You want me to wait?
No, the deliverable on, 5 minutes goes by very, very terribly quickly. And it's a little bit off topic, but that never stops me. The stranded natural gas in the Permian Basin is an area where we could perhaps focus for an immediate deliverable on natural gas for heating homes, delivering it to electrical generation plants, getting it from West Texas. Unlike wind energy, where the wind's right on the shoreline and you can bring the power right on board, we'll have to get the natural gas from the Permian to the places where it's going to be used: Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, and the ports down at Corpus Christi and Freeport. But it's doable, and there are existing pipelines. So this is a fascinating topic that one of our railroad commissioners brought up to me. There are existing abandoned natural gas pipelines in the state of Texas that could begin this process literally by turning it back on. To be sure, there are things that will have to be checked and make certain everything is up to specs. But this is an immediate source for an immediate problem that we have, again, just right around the corner. I do have to ask you, since there's been so much talk about the price on the wind energy, are people factoring in, will there be like a federal subsidy like there is for land-based wind energy in this offshore wind energy?
Well, thank you for the question. I mean, everything that I have read says that we still continue to need, the subsidies and support from the government to be able to get where we want to go, to even get to the variable cost curve. So while there's a lot of fixed costs that are being spent, there needs to still be considerable subsidies. We see this with the extension of the renewable tax credits that we go through decade after decade after decade. Each year we say we're going to phase them out because why? It's cheap. We've gotten down the variable cost curve, and the wind is free, right? Well, why do we continue to have all these subsidies? Right? Why is it a good thing that FERC can allow negative pricing in energy markets and we can't actually price the real cost that consumers know as to what they're paying for?
Yes. And there's a real effect. We felt it last February. Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll yield back.